man to the warlands? Who would follow me to go with a man to the warlands? Now it's all work and there's no pay when you follow your man to the warlands. You'll never get fat on a penny a day. Can't say no one warned ya. Who would follow me to go with a man to the warlands? Who would follow me to go with a man to the warlands? For the love of a man, you leave your friends, forsake your home and country, go like a gypsy to far off land. Life that's hell and misery.
All round.
Polymath.
Yeah. Anyway, Tony, hello. Do you want to tell us something about yourself, please?
Well, all those things, mainly because what I do is I try and make a living from performance. I was a singer when I was a child. I was like a choir boy, and then I became interested in folk music round about 1968 when it was top of the charts with people like the Dubliners and the Spinners. And then I became very interested in folk music, and I wanted to play the concertina, but they were quite expensive. They were 60 guineas in 1968, and banjos were £7. So when I came down on Christmas Day in 1968, when I was 15, when I came down and saw that there was a frying pan underneath the Christmas tree, I knew I hadn't got a concertina. But I mean, I loved the instrument. I loved the Dubliners, Luke Kelly and Barney McKenna, and I started playing and I started singing. And then we had a school folk club at the Shields Grammar Tech School, which was very formative. And I wound up running it. Then I went to Leeds University to do drinking beer. To be honest, that was what I got like an honours in that. But I started playing music, and I got other instruments along the way. It's one of those things that once you start playing a musical instrument, it's a great excuse for your aunts and uncles and mothers, fathers and grandparents to buy you a musical instrument. Or our Tony man, he plays instruments, let's get him a guitar. And my sister brought us a guitar from my uncle, which was strapped to her back as she rode back on a Honda 45 or whatever it was, and brought it back. It was guaranteed Spanish. Which was like a great make, you know, it was very good. It was the time of Donovan, so I painted it bright blue, white and green and drew flowers on the side. It sounded really good. And then, kind of when I qualified, I played so much music. I think I was the only student in Leeds who ever made money being a student, because I played in Cayley bands, like John Doonan Cayley Band from Heaven, just up the way. So we were doing like 3 Cayleys a weekend, and on a weekend in the mid-70s I was getting like 30 to 40 quid like a weekend, which was an absolute fortune. And I qualified. I know you find that hard to believe, listener, but I did. I really qualified. And somebody said I was going to do like a master's in water pollution for Yorkshire Water Board, and somebody said, do you fancy going to Belgium for about 3 weeks to solely play some music? And I said, yeah, just thinking it would be like over the summer. And then 3 years later I came back, to be honest, and by which time I thought I might as well. I've learned how to play, sing and perform in front of audiences in Holland and Belgium and France and Germany and Switzerland. I mean, I did come home, but I basically toured like all that time. And then I was a solo folk singer for quite a long time. And then I joined a band called Iona with an accordionist. And that was quite interesting. Made a record. You know, these were hard things to do. You know, I mean, these days I think everything's different. This isn't this kind of, oh, in my day it was all different. But in my day it was different. You had to have quite a bit of money behind you to hire a studio, to have the sessions, to mix it. which it tended quite often. I mean, even though I had like 16 tracks, quite often it would be easier to do it all live.
Yeah.
And made records, and then I joined up with Mick Doonan, which coincidentally was John Doonan's son, and we toured around. And then I kind of stopped. You know, I did do work in men's clubs in and around the Leeds Bradford area, which is where I was living at that time, which was a salutary lesson. You know, it's like anything. It's a bit more like, as Billy Connolly says, more raw meat to the gallery. And quite often, I mean, I could tell you 1,000 stories about playing working men's clubs, but the thing that came out of working men's clubs was that, I mean, apart from getting stage fright, was I've got a degree in that.
Being late on your feet.
Yeah, after like 3.5 years of doing working men's clubs, I felt as if I would never play again. You know, not I suffered from my art. It was just a case of, I don't have to do this. You know, I'd rather do something that was less dangerous. But what did come out of it was it broadened my spectrum of the music that I played. Because when I was 15, if it wasn't from a half-deaf shepherd dragged from the top of Cheviot, I really didn't want to listen to it. And kind of in that time, I'd learned how to write songs, which I thought I would never do.
There's a man in the dark and he's crying alone. He's lost the best of love that his heart has known. All his dreams shattered as he walked out that door. He knows he let her down sometimes. Sometimes he left her crying. It's better to go now than live this life as a lie. There's a woman who loved me once, but now I turned my back and let that love go cold. Not even in the worst times did you think it would end this way. You and I both know this is the way it must be.
So, what are you doing now?
Well, I kind of, I mean, I stayed at home and brought the children up, which kind of, because I wasn't earning money from playing music, because I kind of signed off from that.
Yeah.
Plus I was involved in a very ugly publishing deal, which made from 1980 until about 1986 meant I couldn't really record anything or publish anything or write anything, so I just basically stopped. And there is a thread to this. In 1986, when that came to an end, I recorded a cassette. I know. It's like you have to... Yes, I know. Yes. Well, Grandad. I recorded a cassette, and it was the first solo thing that I'd ever done. And it was a mixture of traditional songs and things that I'd written in the intervening time. I'd never recorded them or sang them in front of anybody, so to make sure that I didn't violate this recording deal. You know, I couldn't burp without somebody having to pay the money for it.
Share.
Oh, you was welcome to 100% of that. But I recorded a cassette, and what happened was, when I'd finished, when the children were old enough to sort of go to school and things like that, I got interested in teaching and storytelling almost at the same time. I moved into a classroom that had a book in it by Joseph Jacobs called Celtic Fairy Tales, and you can get it for £1 in things like the works, the bookshops, and it's just astounding. And if I ever said there was a pivotal moment, it was reading that book that was at the bottom of a cupboard in a classroom that I was moving into, and I read it and I couldn't believe it. It just resonated. I'd seen storytellers and thought, well, I'm never going to like listen to this, and I was always hooked, no matter how much I struggled not to do it. I always wanted to hear like another story. I'd be the one.
As I walked out one summer's day to view the fields so green, bushes they were in full bloom, so lovely to be seen. When rose bushes was adorned, so brightly they did shine, I met my lovely Nancy along the banks of Tyne. Her hair was like the links of gold, this charming beauty bright. Eyes did glow like diamonds or the shining stars of night. I says, me pretty fair maid, if you will be mine, we'll live our lives in harmony along the banks of Tyne.
When I'd finished with the teaching and the lecturing, here's the thing, because I've got a degree in agricultural zoology, I was always made head of technology, which really meant that I was like the king of scissors and protractors and rulers. You know, oh, you've got a degree in zoology, you can look after all of the glues. You know, that used to be the thing, which it always made me laugh. But I've got to say that. So I started telling stories, had no idea, because you can't go to storytelling school, you know. So basically I'm quite good at talking. You might have noticed.
You probably can go to storytelling.
Yeah, I could probably run it. Yeah. And so I just kind of stepped off the cliff and just sort of thought, I'll tell people I can tell stories, and just start doing it. And it was very interesting. I made a lot of mistakes, and people were very generous in the schools. You know, they would sort of like say that, mind, I was charging like 25 quid for a day. You know, in this, we've kind of jumped quite a lot to the future. Like in 1999, I wasn't charging much. Yeah. So people's, or if at all, so people's expectations weren't particularly high. So if it didn't 100% work, then, you know, nobody was really upset, and I would say, well, I'll come and do it again, you know, like in a different way. So they allowed me to develop. So I've done that since 1999, and I met up with Tom McConville, who would lived in a house. I lived in a house with him in Leeds in the mid-70s, and when I got married and kind of moved away, we still kept in touch with each other. Yeah. And I would see him, you know, if I was in Holland or Belgium or just around, we still kept in touch with each other. And in around about, I think would be about 2008, 2009, we had like a long conversation, and then around about 2009 we were at Whitby together, because somebody had asked us to go storytelling, which I did, and we were chatting, and he said, like, well, we should try and do something together, because sometimes it's a bit of a singular activity. You like going around you jump in the car, you go to a school, you tell stories all day, you go back to a bed and breakfast or a hotel, then you sit and watch some rubbish in your underpants, you know, just trying to calm down, you know. I mean, I was trying.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah. Well, how many televisions can you get into your underpants?
Oh, yeah,
you've got to be quicker.
How does the rubbish get in there?
Yeah. But I mean, I did try to do some folk singing, but like it's a pretty heavy job. You're like 9 o'clock till 3, performing for 3.5 hours, and then going out and singing on a night time. I did it 3 times. You know, that was it. I went, I cannot do this, because I'd get home 11:30, 12 o'clock, then have to get up at 7:30 to go to the school and do it all again. And I just thought, I can't do this. You know, you've only got like so much energy in a day to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it was good because, you know, I mean, I still found I could do it. So the folk music part really kind of got sidelined. I mean, I still played music, still played the banjo, still wrote songs for children.
And we hoisted our colours so boldly they spread, with the royal flag a-flying at the royal masthead. For the honour of old England we'll always maintain, while true British seamen plough the watery main. Full exposed to the fire of the enemy we lay, whilst 90 bright pieces of cannon did play. There many upper seamen did lie in his blood, while the brave from their batteries so smartly did flood. And a noble commander with a heart full of grief tried every endeavour to afford us relief, but no ship could assist us, as well he did know. In this wounded condition we were tossed to and fro. All you that do save us, the Lord will ye bless, for relieving poor seamen in their hour of distress. May the Lord put an end to all such cruel wars, send peace and contentment to all British shores.